All right, I think we are good to go. So a very good evening, everybody, once again, and I welcome you to this joint webinar by Nasscom FutureSkills Prime and Google Cloud. So we have participants joining in, and just a few house announcements before we start the session. One is that as participants, you would notice that there's a Q&A tab that we have as a part of this Zoom meeting. At the end of the webinar, we'll open up slots to answer the questions, and you are of course welcome to post your questions during the session, which we will take up as we move along with the session. In the interest of time, let's get started now. We provided extra time to make sure that everybody could get onto the webinar, and during the course of this discussion, I'm sure more and more participants will join in. We are currently at around 193 participants in the webinar. So what I would like to do is basically a quick round of introductions for the benefit of everybody who is joined in. And I will start with myself. My name is Akash Kumar, and I am from the Nasscom team. I manage industry partnerships for FutureSkills Prime, which means that we have partnerships with many technology majors across various technologies in India, and we work towards including training in emerging technologies to FutureSkills Prime platform. That's my role at Nasscom. We are proud to bring to you together today our association with the Google Cloud team, and I take this opportunity to introduce both members from the Nasscom team as well as the Google Cloud team. From Nasscom, we also have Raghavendra, who is handling this regionally with Apshi. We have Akshit Jain, who is managing this particular program from Google Cloud side. We also have Ashay Singakar, Akashdeep, as well as Tushar Gupta from the Google Cloud team, who are the subject matter experts for the course and for today's session as well. So more detailed round of introductions as we go on. But first of all, many thanks for joining us today. We are really proud to bring this webinar to you. The reason you're probably on this webinar is because you've registered yourself for the program. And our intention today is to give you a detailed understanding on the topic, modernize and secure infrastructure with Google Cloud. Before we move on, it's very important for all of us on this place to understand what Nasscom stands for, and you know what FutureSkills Prime is all about. Nasscom is basically an industry apex body for the IT and ITES sector, representing almost about $180 billion and IT and BPM industry in the country. We are also the chosen partners for Government of India to implement various scaling initiatives as far as IT and BPM industry is concerned. When we look around right now, it's very important and very common for us to hear a lot about the emerging technologies today. We hear artificial intelligence, cloud technologies as day in and day out. So not taking much of your time, I don't want to stand between you and your technical learning. So I would like to tell you that you are all set to learn a brilliant technology that has got a great share of employment potential in this country, not just for now, but for many years to come, and not just offering avenues in the country, but actually avenues are getting opened up for across the globe as well. All the participants should know that you are part of a very large cohort of learners, over 1 million people who are registered on FutureSkills Prime. You're part of this revolution, and we really hope you can benefit from the program. Your questions are always welcome. I'm going to now hand over to Akshit to talk a little bit more specifically on this Google Cloud program and specifically about today's topic, modernize and secure infrastructure with Google Cloud. Akshit, over to you.
Hey Akash, thank you so much for that intro, and thank you so much everyone for joining in. It's really great to have you join us with this in this journey, and probably creating and starting a career in cloud. So congratulations for taking the first step towards that and starting your journey. Right, us at the team at Google Cloud and Nasscom and MeitY and Apshe will try their best to make sure that this is a really amazing program for you, and when you go out from this program you have the right skills to take up cloud as a career, right? And just talking about cloud as a career, it opens up so many avenues for you when you want to learn. I know most of you might have already completed the program, some of you are still doing it, some of you are still yet to start with the program. That's totally fine. Do not worry where you are in your cloud journey right now, right? All you need to do is start and just take the next step in your cloud career, right? That's what should be on your mind. You should not be worried about where you are in your pathway right now or in your learning journey right now. No one is late. Everyone starts at some time. So we definitely motivate you to start the program if you're not yet started it, to complete the program if you are have already started it but are not able to give the time to it, right? Because skills that you will learn in this program is very important for you in the upcoming future, in the hot skills that they are in the market right now, right? The hottest skill in the market right now is generative AI, right? And the generative AI, the whole technology is built on cloud, right? So learning about cloud is very very important when you are going through this, and also learning about generative AI, right? So I would recommend to learn and get as much foundational concepts of cloud as possible so that you can build features like generative AI, build tools like Bard, Chat GPT, all of those really amazing tools that are out there, Copy.ai, that can help you help other folks around the world, other people around the world, bring the change around the world, right? So some of you have already started utilizing all of these tools for your maybe for your work, for your college studies, for all of this, right? But you should be aware of how these tools are working, how what's the backend infrastructure of these tools are, how you can maybe even create one for yourself and for the world. So that's what cloud enables you to do. And this program is basically the starting point for you and all of you to basically start kickstart your journey in that bandwagon, so that you can also learn how to build those amazing tools, right? And not just that, anything at all. There's so many possibilities with cloud, right? Generative AI is just one possibility, which is the hottest skill right now. But there are so many possibilities right now, that you can basically explore through Google Cloud. One of them is definitely how you can basically modernize and secure infrastructure, and it can be an infrastructure, maybe an existing infrastructure, and making it more viable for your users out there, for the people out there, and making sure that they can use your app, your website in the right manner as and the scalable manner that they're supposed to, right? And for that, we have Tushar on the call today, who will basically be walking you through all the amazing concepts, all the amazing technologies that will enable you to understand this technology and help you basically advance your career, basically learn a few more things about cloud in a very deep manner, right? I know all of you are going through the course material, the labs, the videos, the quizzes, and that is really amazing, right? You guys are doing that. But also understanding those from a perspective of a subject matter expert, a real engineer who actually is using these technologies in a real world scenario is very, very important for you and very important for your learning as well. And that's why we have these sessions, so that you can understand those things in a very deep manner and ask questions about it. I'll ask as many questions as you want. There's a Q&A here. We also have Akashdeep and Ashif from our team to answer any technical questions that you might have during the session. So please do remember to ask them. No question is a wrong question. We're more than happy to answer any questions that you have, right? And all the best for your journey. I would definitely recommend you completing this program on time, because this is just the first step, right? There are a lot of other steps that you need to take in order to learn about cloud and get started in the field, right? So without further ado, I will basically ask Akashdeep to present our screen. We have prepared a short presentation for you guys, and maybe during the start, we'll also give you a short intro about how you can basically redeem your credits in the program. I know some of you have been facing some issues on how you can redeem your credits and basically start with the program. We shared that in the first session, but we'll share it again just for your knowledge, so that you can understand how to move forward. Some of you are even stuck at the point where you have completed your 3 courses, but you have not yet received your 400 credits from Google, so that you can take the remaining 2 courses in the program. So we'll just take 5-10 minutes, we'll cover that section, and then we'll hand it over to Tushar, so that Tushar can take you through the infrastructure journey, okay? So Akashdeep, do you want to present your screen?
Okay, I have a small question here. If you don't mind, can I ask?
Yes, sure, Raghavendra, please go ahead.
So may I request you to go a bit slower, considering the kind of audiences we have? Okay, maybe a pace, if you can use little slower, that would be great.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
He's talking about the pace that we are speaking at.
Yes.
Okay,
You
sure,
can keep it normal. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that will be great. That will be great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Point taken. Raghav. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Okay, so we'll start with the like we said, we'll start with the credits consumption and how you can get those credits for yourself in the program. So Ashdeep will walk you through that, and like I said, then we'll hand over to Tushar, so that he can help you with the labs and how you can basically help you with the concepts of the labs and how you can understand them better and how you can take them once you are aware of it. Okay. So Akashdeep, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Akshit. Okay, so you guys must have received an email that how to redeem the remaining 400 credits in the Nasscom program. You guys, some of you guys have received this email and some of you not, because you have not completed at least 3 courses. So to get the remaining 400 credits for this Nasscom campaign, you must have to complete at least 3 courses from the Nasscom landing page. Okay, so this is the similar email which you might have received for the 200 credits. So you have to first open the incognito window in your Google Chrome browser and copy the URL given in the second step and just paste it into the incognito window. So once you paste, a pop-up appears to enter the access code. So you have to copy the access code from the step 3 and paste it in the pop-up and just check the I am not a robot and then submit. Now you guys have to sign in into the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. So once you sign in into the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform with your registered credential, you must have received 9 credits in your account. So if you haven't received the 9 credits in your account after signing into or enroll into this on-demand course, you have to return back to the first step and perform all the steps again. So now click on the profile icon and just check if you have received the 9 credits or not. So you can see in the video that the 9 credits is received. After that, you have to just scroll down in the course and find the lab name, a tour of Quick Labs and Google Cloud. In the module name, start with a solid platform. So just scroll down the course page and you will find the module start with a solid platform and click on the lab. And once you click on the lab page, you can see the start lab button to start this lab. So in the video, you can see that you have to just start the lab and perform the lab at least 10 minutes. So in this lab, you have to just enable the Dialogflow API in the Google Cloud Console. So all the credentials are given on the lab instruction page. And then you just have to enable the Dialogflow API in the Google Cloud Console, and then you will get the 100% assessment score by enabling the Dialogflow API. So you must, after enabling the Dialogflow API, you must have to keep the lab running till 10 minutes. So in this video, you can see that how you can enable the Dialogflow API. So you have to just search in the Google Cloud Console in the libraries that Dialogflow API and just click on enable. So once you enable the Dialogflow API, just click on check my progress. You can see the 100% assessment score. Yeah, here you go. Okay, now once you have run the lab 10 minutes, then you can just end the lab and submit the ratings and feedbacks if you want. And then just go to the credits and subscription page and you can see the remaining 400 credits. Thank you. Over to you, Akshit.
Hey, thank you so much, Kashdeep. And this is the same steps that you can also use for your earlier email as well that you received on for the 200 credits that you received, right? So I know that not all of you would have received the 400 credits email today because we only sent the 400 credits email to those users who have completed at least 3 courses. Can we go to the next tab, Akash? Thank you so much. So these are the 5 courses that are part of the program, right? In order to get your completion certificate from Nasscom, you have to complete all of these 5 courses and get these digital badges in your public profile URL of the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform. And only then, once you have these 5 badges, you would be given a completion certificate by Nasscom, right? So when you enrolled in the program in February and you also received an email from Google in order to start your program, you must have received a code in that email for 200 credits, right? Those 200 credits are good for completing first, second, and third course in the program, right? And as soon as you complete the third course in the program, the Google team will also send you another email for 400 credits that you can utilize for fourth and fifth course in the program and complete your whole journey, right? So that is the whole structure of the program. Some of you might have also received this email today, helping you to redeem your remaining 400 credits so that you can take the fourth and the fifth course of the program and complete it, right? If you have not received it, then that means that maybe you have not completed the first three courses, or it might be possible that the email landed up in spam or junk or promotions email, right? So, folder, right? So we definitely motivate you to find those emails in your spam, junk, or promotions folder and redeem the credit from there, right? If you have not even redeemed your 200 credits till now, so it might be possible that your code in the email has already expired and you won't be able to redeem those credits again, right? If that's the case, then we request you to please reach out to support@quicklabs.com. That is SUPPORT @quicklabs, QWIKLABS.com, right? Quicklabs.com. Please reach out to them and ask for the credits, and we will provide you with the new code that you can use to redeem your remaining 200 credits and continue with the program, right? So that's the correct way to start your journey in the program if you are stuck somewhere or if you don't have the credits to take up the program, right? That's the right way. And apart from these, you also have a chance to earn 4 extra digital badges that are called skill badges from Google, right? And these are those forward digital badges. A really amazing thing about these skill badges is that these skill badges not just helps you learn about the concepts of cloud, right? They also challenge you with a challenge lab at the end that you need to complete in order to earn these skill badges. And these skill badges are very widely accepted and accredited by the whole world, by the potential employers out there, because once you complete these skill badges, they would basically know that you have mastered a particular skill in cloud because you even completed a challenge lab at the end. And because that challenge lab will basically test you and make sure that you're doing all of the stuff that you learned throughout the skill badge on your own. And once you have earned that and these skill badges you've earned, you will basically have a really amazing looking profile of 9 digital badges plus a certificate from Nasscom that you can basically add to your professional profiles like LinkedIn, CVs, resumes, and showcase your skills as a cloud learner, as a person who's pursuing a career in cloud, right? So this is very important, and we motivate you to please go ahead and do that. And if you still cannot find the email of either 200 credits or 400 credits, like I said, please reach out to support@quicklabs.com and we'll help you with that. I think that was it on the credits consumption part. We'll now hand it over to Tushar, who will basically make you go through the foundation concepts of infrastructure and basically give you a very deep dive information about how to, how these concepts, fit into the picture of the whole program and how you can take them in the program itself. So Tushar, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Akshit. Akash, let me share my screen.
Sure. Akash, maybe you can stop presenting.
So before we
Okay.
begin, let me introduce Tushar. So just for everyone to know, Tushar is from the Google Cloud team, and he is working as a Google Cloud customer engineer. He is a seasoned cloud architect, having 13 plus years of experience across multiple platforms, and has helped customers from different industries across the globe in their digital transformation journey. He is an active speaker among different cloud communities and also mentored students and professionals for their career in cloud computing. So, Tushar, over to you.
Thanks, Akash. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be back, and I can see that more than 300 participants have joined. But in parallel, I'm also sad to see the Q&A where everyone is actually talking about the certificate, right? And this is where we are not here, right? We are spending so much time here. We are spending our beautiful evening along with so many folks from Google, from Nasscom to learn something, right? So my humble request is that for the next 1 hour, where we are going to discuss about the foundational aspects of Google Cloud infrastructure, focus on your learning, right? Don't worry about the certificate, don't worry about the credits, don't worry about the goodies even, right? Which we really like that, right? But focus on your learning and make this session more interactive by asking your questions. You've just started your journey to the cloud. I must say that you guys are really, really lucky to actually have all these sessions enabled for you from the Nasscom team. So thanks, Akash and Raghavendra, for arranging these sessions for these students. Okay, so let me start with my a quick introduction as Akash has already said that, right? So I'm working with Google Cloud. I'm with Google from the last 2 years now, but with 13 years of experience. And I'm the infrastructure modernization specialist. So this is my designation, right? So you can ask anything about infrastructure, networking, security, and I have seen in multiple sessions that the participants have experience of other clouds as well. So do not shy away of asking questions that Tushar, this is what happens in AWS or Azure. How does it happen in Google Cloud? So feel free to ask any other questions. Okay. So with that, let's get started. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible, right? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, somehow I am not able to see what I'm actually presenting, so that's okay. All right, so this is a small agenda, right? We are going to discuss about, let me just give me a minute. Okay, yeah, so this is a small agenda. We're going to discuss about, I hope everyone is now comfortable with what a VM is in GCP, what we call it as a Google Cloud Compute Engine, right? How does it work, right? And now we are going and another step in today's session. We are going to focus on data management with Google Cloud. Why are we actually talking about data, right? Everything is now rely on data, right? So you must have heard of this small line every time that data is a new oil, right? So, and data is keep on increasing. Whether to actually working on any use case, the data is a key thing which we need to actually store and protect, and which we need to use it for our application purposes. So this is where we will understand that how we manage that petabyte scale of data with Google Cloud, whether it's a form of databases or any other data, right? How we can, and then we will see in the demo as well that how we can build scalable storage systems on GCP. When we say scalable, right, it means that it can actually scale on demand. So you don't have to worry about the storage space. You just bring the data on GCP and GCP will maintain that, right? So we are going to see a working session on that. After that, we're going to discuss some of the key aspects of modern application architecture, right? Uh, since you guys are from universities, I believe, right? You must be developing a lot of web applications or any other applications for your projects, right? And this is where you must be hearing a lot of new age technologies like serverless and API based architecture. So all those services we are going to discuss about modern application architecture as well. Now, after that, we'll delve into the GCP security, how we provide while working on the data management or designing our modern applications on GCP, how we can actually provide security for that as well. Because we understand your data is very, very critical, right? Even though you're working for your own project, which is a very small audience project, but as you grow further in your cloud career and when you will start working for customers, for Google Cloud or any other cloud for that matter, you have to understand the security, right? We always hear that, okay, this application is under attack. We have a ransomware attack. So this is all possible because of weak security. So we are going to discuss on very foundational concept of security today, which is our identity and access management, right? How we maintain access control and provide a secure identity in TCP. Okay. All right. So, folks, I'm not able to see your questions on screen, but feel free to raise hand and unmute yourself to ask questions. So, okay, so Akash and Raghavendra and others folks, if they you see any other question for me, just ask, okay, because I'm looking at other tab.
So we have one hand raised from Ajay Kumar. I'm sure you have not started yet, but if you want, we can allow him to talk.
Yeah. Ajay.
Okay. Ajay, please unmute yourself and go ahead with your query.
Sir, can you explain the 6 layers security of Google's data, which are stored in the data warehouses, and the infrastructure of the security that was provided by Google's users' data?
Absolutely. Ajay, good question. You must have seen that video on YouTube, right? Where we have published 6 layers of security, right? Honestly, when we actually talk about 6 layers of security, it does not involve only Google Cloud security. Rather, it involves the Google's own uh, tiers of security as well. So your 6 layers could be the access management at the physical level. So you understand that, right? In cloud or in any other enterprises, all those services which you are consuming are running in the data centers. Okay. And when we actually talk about 6 tiers of security, right? The security starts from where the data center, the access to the data center starts. So it also involves your security guards. It also involves your CCTV surveillance. It also involves your access cards. It also involves the infrastructure, which we are actually talking on the security side. It also involves how the data is stored, right? So all these layers actually comprises your 6 levels of security. And I really Ajay, thanks for asking this great question. I really want everyone to refer a very small video on YouTube, which actually comprises of these points in a very good manner, in a visual manner, I would say. Okay, so just search for 6 layers of data security in Google Cloud Data Center, and then you can actually see that. But remember, Ajay, that the security comprises of physical security as well, not only the logical security which we are going to discuss today. Hope it answers your question. Yes, Mo, Ajay. Okay, maybe we can go to next one. Sayyed. Ajay, you still have your hand raised. Is your question answered?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Sayyed.
Sir, I have completed this Google Cloud Computing Fundamentals, sir, and I have received 5 badges. What's the next step to be done, sir?
Okay, so I think I can. Yeah, Tushar, I think I can take this question if you want. So if you've already completed your 5 badges, right, it's recommended that you should go for the skill badges that I just showed over the presentation, right? These skill badges are basically the next step for you on to learning more about Google Cloud.
Yes, sir, I have completed my skill badges, sir.
Perfect. If you've already done that, then and then let us know if you need more credits to explore more on Google Cloud Skills Course, right? So now you have completed your whole program. Now you have a really amazing, platform that you can access through your email IDs. So what I would recommend you is to reach out to support@quicklabs.com, request for more credits, and we're more than happy to share those credits for free since you are a student, and you can learn more about cloud concepts on the Google Cloud Skills Boost platform itself, right? One of the really amazing learning paths that I would recommend is the cloud engineering learning path on Google Cloud Skills Boost. That's basically the next step after the Google Cloud Computing Foundations program that you should take and complete.
Sir, can you repeat me again the next course, sir?
Yeah, the cloud engineering learning path. Okay, so what I will do is I will share the link of that path right now over the chat, and you can probably bookmark it. And
Yes, sir.
okay,
Okay, sir. So after this,
Sayed,
how can
Sayed, what you can also do is attempt the SSC Nasscom certification, which you'll find in your FutureSkills Prime login. Once you log in and when you see the course card, so you have to take the Nasscom assessment, which is nationally recognized. It's a government approved, okay?
Okay, sir. So how can I generate next certificate, sir, on this course?
Sayed, we would like to take that question later, or maybe you can drop in an email to support at Quick Labs because, with the paucity of time, I think we should begin the course. I'll just share the email address on the chat. Just pick that up and send in your query, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Tushar, we can begin the session.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Akash. Okay, so let's start with the data management on GCP, right? How we manage a lot of data on GCP. So first of all, let's understand the portfolio of the services where we like to actually store our data, right? So the different services are actually dependent on the type of data and the type of use case you like to actually store your data for, right? So let's say you would like to actually build your application and you need a caching layer, right? So you need an in-memory database, right? So this is where Google Cloud provides you a service known as memory store, which is basically a managed Redis or Memcache database, right? If you're looking for a database for your application for a relational database type, right, like Microsoft SQL or PostgreSQL, right, then the Cloud SQL is the managed offering for you, right? And all these services which I'm actually showing you here are all the managed services from Google Cloud, right? I hope we all are comfortable between the differences between infrastructure as a service versus serverless or platform as a service. Or does anyone of you has any doubt between the IaaS, PaaS, and serverless? Because before that, we cannot proceed. Anyone of you has any doubt between the difference between infrastructure as a service, serverless services, or platform as a services? Okay, I consider it no. Okay, so everyone is clear. So all the services which I'm actually showing you here is a mix of platform services as well as the serverless services. Okay, so from the perspective of relational database, we have Cloud SQL, which is our managed SQL offering, where you can actually run your MySQL, PostgreSQL, or even the Microsoft SQL Server as well. The Cloud Spanner is actually in between the relational and non-relational databases. But this is a very, very important databases because this is what is being used by Google search also. Okay. So NoSQL, if you come to the NoSQL data offering, you have Firestore and Bigtable. And don't worry about these names and the use cases because we're going to discuss about that in the next couple of slides. For the analytical warehouse, right, we have the BigQuery, right? And in the today's demo, we are going to see our object storage, our cloud storage as well. Okay. Now coming to the specific to the cloud storage, right, which is a very common object storage where you can dump your petabytes and terabytes of data. It's primarily used for three main purposes in cloud. First is the content storage and delivery, right? So if let's say you're developing an application or a mobile application or a web application, and it has got lot of images and videos, right? So just take an example of a sample e-commerce application, let's say Amazon.com, right? So Amazon.com is also an application, but it is storing a lot of product catalog images, right? A lot of product images are there, right? If you want to buy a phone, the phone image actually comes into picture. So in the backend, it uses some kind of storage mechanism, right? So that's where they're using any object storage in the backend. Now, to actually run some analytics on the data, right? And you want to store that data for the analytics. This is where you can use object storage as well. Now, let's say you say that, Tushar, I have spin up various compute machines. I've actually spun up a lot of VMs, right? And I need a scalable storage, right? Just to store my data for that particular virtual machine, right? So this is where you can also use your cloud storage as an object storage as well. Now, in many enterprise use cases, you also need to ensure the business continuity of your application, right? And this is where these companies are using these cloud storages for your backup and archiving. So you take the backups, right? Just like if you are holding an iPhone or an Android phone, you're taking backup of your data every time and put it into a storage. The same thing happens in the cloud in the form of cloud storage where your enterprise applications are running and you're taking backups to your cloud storage. Okay. Now I will not go into each and every slide because I'll actually bore you to the death for that. So, but would like to actually touch base upon very key slides in the presentation today, right? So, cloud storage, as we discussed, it's an object storage, highly available and very simple to use, right? So, just any type of data, you just use it and dump it. Now, it does not have any structure, right? So you cannot use it as cloud storage like a database, but it is very reliable as well because since it is a managed service, the data is actually replicated across multiple regions and zones, right? And I hope everyone is comfortable with what a zone is and what a region is in a cloud world. Yes? No? Can someone raise hands if they are comfortable with what is a region and what is a zone? Okay. Only Varda is comfortable. How about the rest of the folks? Ajay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And folks, I request you to actually make this session interactive. I mean, I don't want to actually talk to a blank screen and go. This session is for you. This session is for you to ask questions. If you don't understand anything, just ask, right? But do not stay silent, right? We're not here to complete just 1.5 hours and go.
Tushar, maybe not a question on regions, but we received one question on the Q&A, and it's around cloud storage and YouTube. So I'll just relay that question. It's from Ravi. How can Google store so much data from YouTube without any limitations, and how do they provide security for them?
How can Google store so much data from YouTube without any limitations, and how they provide security for them? Okay, great question, Ravi, Sai, Chaudhary. You have a good long name. Okay, so Google also uses this story, right? I mean, you're jumping the gun. I was actually coming on to that, but Google also uses their own products, right? For the amount of storing their content like videos on YouTube, right? So this is how you can actually term on, and thank you actually for bringing this question up, because this is how you can actually showcase to your friends and even for yourself the scale at which we are operating. Okay, the YouTube videos are you can actually think of that. It's actually keep on generating lots and lots of data, right? Then you need a storage mechanism, and Google has actually invested a lot of infrastructure, has invested in a lot of infrastructure to store that content and provide content available to you in a form of YouTube, right? So this is the same storage which we are actually offering, or you are actually getting from the Google Cloud as well as an enterprise offering. Okay. Now, in terms of security, there are a lot of active security controls. So we do not get into the YouTube security controls because that involves again a different session altogether. But yes, your videos are only accessible to the content publisher, right? And they can only make the changes to that video. Just to very give you a very simple answer, right? These videos are only accessible or modifiable by the content producer and content publisher. As a viewer of that video, I'm not able to modify any content from that. So Google is very actually particular about the security of the data which is actually stored here, right? But we're not talking about the other parts of the Google. We will focus on Google Cloud, right? So we'll come back to the cloud storage now. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take it and no. Okay, so when we say storage, right? Google Cloud Storage provides different classes of storage, right? And this is basically to ensure the cost and to ensure the data retrieval in the different tiers as well. So just think like that. I'm just taking a very wild example. Do not consider that this is happening actually behind the Google Cloud Storage. You have multiple disks, right? You have one disk which is very fast and you can retrieve that data quickly, right? And your data is getting accessed very frequently. So let's say you're storing your file, right? It is actually being read every time. So let's say your attendance data, right? Which is read every time, or you're putting that data every time and it is being read every time as well. Or you're putting your object files, let's say product image, which you know that every user who comes on your website will actually want to see the product image, or let's say a phone image before he or she would like to buy that, right? So that type of storage, which is frequently accessed, you will put it in a standard storage class, right? Or you can say it's a hot data class, right? So when we say hot data, it means that it is being accessed every time and very frequently. Okay. Now, if let's say you'd like to actually store data and there is a requirement that the data should be accessed only per month, right? Per month. So that you will actually store in nearline storage. Now, if you would like to actually data to be stored and read only in a quarter, in a single quarter in 3 months, then you will put in the cold line storage. And as we actually go deeper into the storages class, the cost will also come down. Okay, so the standard storage is a expensive one. The nearline storage is less expensive than standard. Similarly, for cold line is less than nearline. And the last, which is used for archival purpose, known as archive storage, which means that you're dumping data for the historical purpose only, and you're reading that data only once a year, right? So this is primarily for the DR purposes, for the disaster recovery purposes as well. Okay. Now, this is where I would like to actually show you that the Google Cloud Storage is not only offered as a cloud offering, but we are using actually this storage for our own purpose as well. So your Google Photos, your Gmail, right? All the Gmail content, all the attachments, even your Google Docs or your Google Files, right, are all actually backed by your Google Cloud Storage. Okay, so the storage service which you will be using in Google Cloud Console is the same storage which are being used by our own products as well. Okay. Now coming to the databases, right? So far we have discussed about the cloud storage, which is purely a dump storage, right? Where you do not have any intelligence on top of it. You're just dumping that data and you're just accessing the data. Now, your application requires databases as well, right? So in order to actually build databases for your applications, right? Either you actually take a VM, which is in Google is known as Google Cloud Compute Engine, which you have covered in the previous one. You can create a VM, install a databases on it, and use it as a database server, or you can actually go for a managed service on the Google Cloud for your database as well. Now, depending on your database type, right, you can actually go for relational versus non-relational databases as well. Now, before we jump onto the database structure, let's understand the data types, right? So first is structured versus non-structured, right? So I'm not giving into much details that how we categorize different unstructured data. But if we actually categorize our data into structured versus unstructured, structured means that it has a defined schema. just like a tabular form, right? We use in our colleges MS SQL, right? Microsoft SQL Server or PostgreSQL Server, where we will define the schema that, okay, it has a particular column, right? I will store my name, last name, first name, last name, address, or my age, right? Or student ID. And then these columns will actually accept the fields which I will define. Let's say name will be of type string, age will be, ID will be type of numeric, right? So I will define a schema before storing the actual data onto it. So that is called as structured data. Now, what is not structured, you can actually term this unstructured. So images, your voice recordings, your ratings, your Facebook, if you are using Facebook, your Instagram, right? All the tweets you are mentioning, all your social media comments, your surveys, your chats, your emails, it does not have any structure, right? It all comes under the unstructured data. So basis on your data, which is to be stored in your cloud, right? You define what type of database I'd like to actually use. And so these are the options for the SQL or the relational managed services. Cloud SQL we have covered that it actually supports MySQL, Postgres, and SQL Server. Similarly, we have Cloud Spanner as well. So Cloud Spanner combines the benefit of relational and non-relational as well, right? And this is just I'm telling you about the feature. Since it is a managed service, so you can actually say that yes, it is reliable service as well, and it has built-in security for Google as well. Now Spanner is that it actually is a relational database, but it combines the benefits of non-relational in terms of scalability. So if you are aware of any SQL databases which cannot scale horizontally, and I'm using this word horizontal scaling, right? And I'm just assuming that everyone is aware of difference between vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So horizontal scaling means that you're building an exact copy whenever there is a load, right? So let's say your website is getting a lot of requests and your single server is not able to handle those many requests, then you actually quickly create a copy of that server, and the traffic is distributed across your two copies now instead of one, right? So that is called as horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling means that if you're having, let's say, 20 GB of RAM, right, and you're actually having issues in that memory, then you can actually increase a RAM or a CPU of a single server. So that is called as vertical scaling, right? But in terms of relational databases, the shortcoming was that it cannot scale horizontally. You can only create read replica, but if you would like to read and write both on the databases, it cannot be possible. And that's the reason Cloud Spanner, which is native to Google, combines the benefit of scale as well as SQL. Okay. Now coming to the NoSQL, where we do not have any schema-led services, right? You have data store and big table. You don't have to go into the details on it, but data store is basically your document DB, and the primary use cases which you will see in the real world is, let's say you're going to a mobile game, right? And you're creating a user profile, or let's say you're creating a Facebook account, you're creating a user profile, right? Or your product catalogs in the e-commerce application, your transactions on the bank, right? Where it does not have any schema, right? It can have anything, right? Your mobile games are the typical use cases for your data store. Now, big table is very, very important because this is where you're actually storing your time series databases. So think like that. Let's say you have a sensor. Okay. So I'm just taking one example. You have an IoT sensor, and a lot of new age technologies are actually coming, like IoT, industrial IoT, right? Akshay just talked about one of the very recent development of generative AI, right? But generative AI is not linked to data, but I'm talking of the actual physical devices, which is sending the data. So uh, whether, let's say, you're using how would I say, you're using a motion sensor lighting, right? Or a CCTV camera, right? A motion sensor is detected. So everything is a time series database, right? A time series data. And to store that level of time series data, you need a table, you need a database which understands like that, right? So it is a very, very scalable database. A cloud big table is a fully managed NoSQL database, primarily required for the time series and analytical purposes. And you'll be happy to know that your Gmail, your Google Maps, even your search, right, uses cloud big table in the backend. Okay, so far we have discussed cloud storage, which is also being used by your Google Photos, your Google uh, uh, Workspace or Google Drives, right? Uh, but your Google search, your all the data which you're actually searching, right, or your data is actually coming from the search, is actually backed by cloud big table. Now, we talked about different type of data management, right? But what type of storage will meet my needs? The answer is not simple, right? You have to understand, you have to identify that which type of storage will require my need. If you're having a data structure, and I would say if you have a phone, just take a screenshot. And anyway, I'm going to share this presentation with you later on. But always remember this kind of chat, right? And then make your decision that what type of database or what type of data storage medium from Google Cloud I need for my use cases. Okay. So before I jump on to the demonstration, any questions?
I think we have one question for from Ajay. So Ajay, you can unmute and go ahead and ask a question.
Ajay, you have any question? You forgot to
Ajay,
lower
are
your
you still
hand.
there? Yeah, I think he's back.
Okay. Hi, Ajay. Ajay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you had a question.
Yes, sir. My question is simple. On which basis a region is divided into zones?
Sorry, I could not hear your question.
Hello.
Yeah, Ajay, please tell me.
Sir, can you explain on which basis a region is subdivided into zones
Okay.
or subzones?
Okay. So no, there is no subzone. There is only zone. Okay. So there is no basis, I would say, right? Let's understand why we are actually doing this, right? Why any cloud provider is actually dividing their regions into zones. Okay. So for that, you need to understand the high availability or the business continuity requirement for the customers. Okay. So zone is one failure domain, right? When we actually call it a zone, it can be a combination of multiple data center, but logically it is one failure domain. That means if a particular zone is failed, every services which are actually hosted there is also failing, right? So, but your business cannot actually rely on one single site, I would say, right? Then you have to design your architecture in such a way that if one site goes down, my site or my application remains available from another site. So that's the reason we are giving you very, very distinct two failure zones, or I would say three zones in a region where you can design your architecture with a high availability architecture, right? So zone A, zone B, and zone C are entirely different from the logical as well as the physical connectivity perspective as well. So that's the reason a particular region, whenever a cloud region is launched, it actually comes with multiple zones to ensure and to provide the high availability of your architecture for your architecture as well as the business continuity for the customers. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Any further questions?
I think we can proceed.
Okay. So folks,
One second. We have a couple of questions in the chat. So I think one was answered by yourself, 6 layers of security. Saurav wants to know, I want to ask question that can we create application using Google Cloud?
We need to very specific sort of when we actually saying can we create application using Google Cloud. So Google Cloud is a platform, right? Google Cloud is not a coding language or something, or it's not a framework. It is just a platform, right? It will provide you services where you can actually develop your application. So let's say, just taking an example, you are familiar with Node.js or Python, right? And you'd like to actually use cloud services to write code onto Google Cloud. And for deploying any particular code or deploying any particular application code, you need an infrastructure, you need a base, right, to run your application on. So those services will be provided by Google Cloud. Now, if let's say you would like to say that, Tushar, I do not have to worry about, or I do not want to worry about the underlying infrastructure. Rather, I want a managed services for my development framework. This is where also Google Cloud provides the managed services or platform services for you. So you must have heard of Cloud Functions. You must have heard of App Engine. You must have heard of now Cloud Workstations, where you're getting the entire Visual Studio or JetBrains IDE as well, right? Where you can develop your code as well. But if you say that will Google work as Bard or ChatGPT, that I will ask the app to write an application code for me. Sorry, that is not what Google Cloud is all about. That is what other services uh, will actually help you. Okay. So if you're actually asking your question in relate to what ChatGPT or Bard does, that I want to develop an application and they will write a code for you, in Google Cloud you cannot do that. Okay. Yes. Any other questions? Okay. So let me share my screen as well. Okay. So folks, I hope my screen is visible. Okay. All right. So folks, now you have the credits. Yes, I think Kotia or Gore has a question. He has his hand raised. Yes, Kotia, before we proceed towards the lab, I would like to actually answer your question. Yes, tell me. You can unmute yourself and ask the question, please. Am I
Kodia, if you
audible?
have a question, request you to please unmute and ask your query. I think we can take that later, Tushar. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sure. All right. Okay. So, folks, since now you have the credits and the cloud skills access, right? As part of the that, right? You must be aware of this platform, right? Where on the left hand side you will have the button for Start Lab, right? And once you start, it actually provisions a very dummy environment for you, where you can actually run as per the commands in the a particular lab, right? So in the cloud storage quick start lab, what we will see that you will have an option to create a bucket, right? I'm not going to start the lab, rather I will show you in a particular GCP console that how does it look like, right? You will create a bucket. A bucket is a logical entity in your cloud storage where you're actually dumping your files, right? And then based on that, you will upload particular object into that bucket. So bucket is a container, and then you can actually upload your file, and then make your files accessible to the public, right? So it's a very simple lab where you will have hands-on to experience what does cloud storage mean to you, right? So with that, let me share my other screen. And let me know if my screen is visible.
It's
Okay.
visible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So this is how my so let me, okay. So this is how my cloud console look like, right? So as you can see that I'm into a very simple project, GCP Let's Say Security Engineer, right? So if I go to this hamburger menu and search for cloud storage, this is where you will create a bucket, right? So I'm just creating a bucket for you just to take a minute. And very one thing to remember here is that the name of the bucket is worldwidely unique, right? So if let's say Bhargavi has taken some name, right? So Jaya cannot take the same name from that, or Rahul cannot use the same name, entirely same name from that particular storage bucket. So it is globally unique. So let's say I'm just taking uh, test Nasscom demo. Okay, let me see if it is not taken. Okay, it is available, so I can use this name. Now it will ask you to choose a region where to actually store your data. Okay, so let's say you develop your application in such a way that it is only available for your users or your servers which are actually using this particular images are local to India. Okay, then you will use GCP regions India, right? The reason is that the requests which are coming from India will be able to access the storage services from India in a much better way than if you're storing that in US, which actually will involve the latency to access the files stored on that bucket. Okay, so I'm in India, so I will choose a region. Okay, and this is where your all the regions are listed here. So I'm sitting in Delhi, so I will search for Delhi. In India, we have two regions, Mumbai and Delhi, so you can store anywhere. Continue, and this is where, if you remember my presentation, we talked about storage class, right? So what type of storage class you like to actually keep it, right? So this is a standard one, right? Where you will use it for frequently accessed data. Let me actually make it more. Okay. Okay. Then nearline is basically data access to be less than once a month, code line for less than once a quarter, and archive for less than once a year. So I'm keeping it standard. And then this is where the security of the data is there, right? So you can actually put bucket level permission, which will be applicable to all the objects. Or you can also use this the fine grained control that you can define access control per object level as well, right? So I'm just keeping that default and let's create it. So you'll see that your bucket has been created in the region which you have specified. So let's say Delhi, the storage class is standard and the public access is not public. So whatever I'm put my objects into that bucket, it will not be accessed directly onto the public. So let me upload one sample file. Okay, so just taking this picture. Okay. So you can see it's very easy to actually upload this file. Just click on upload files and you can upload the file. But if you click on this, right, and if you see this URL and just go to the internet, it is accessible because I guess it is local to me, so that's why it is applicable. But if you actually edit the access, let me see. I was showing that this. Okay, so this particular user has access to this. But if you actually want to make see, I'm logged in via admin at tusharg.altostack, and it has the storage admin tool. So that's why I'm able to actually access this. But let's say if you like to make this object public, then just grant access to all users. Why is not so. So sorry, folks. Seems like my access to this Argolis account is managed by my organization policy. So that's why I'm not able to change it. But main thing is that you can actually uh, make this object public, right, to all users, and then give it a object viewer role to actually provide access to your objects which are actually stored in the your bucket, right? So this is how you can actually use cloud storage to create or upload any particular bucket, sorry, any particular object. You can also create multiple folders in the structure so that you can organize your objects in that cloud storage and then upload your files onto that. Any questions so far? Yes, Bodhapati, Vistali, Durga. Yeah. Yes, please unmute yourself and you can ask the question. Please unmute yourself. It is at the lower bottom, lower left bottom.
Visali, if you're able to hear, you need to unmute yourself and ask the question, please. I think we can take another question in the meantime. So Tushar, we have a question from G. Venkata Sandeep Reddy. Venkata says, sir, if we signed in to the cloud console with personal mail, then what are the features we can get and up to which extent?
Okay, okay. So Venkat, first of all, you cannot log into your Google Cloud Console with a personal mail until you create a separate personal account, right, with that Gmail account. Okay, so whatever access you will actually get in your particular Quick Lab will be provided only via the dummy user credential which you will get once you start the lab. Okay, so let me actually share my screen again and let me show you what I'm trying to say. So once you get into, let's say, this particular quick lab, right, you have to just click on start the lab, click on my robot as Akash mentioned. Let's get the answers. Okay. Then once the lab is provisioned, you will get a username and password. So you only use username and password, not your personal email address. Okay. So if you're actually asking for that, what type of services you can actually consume with a free account, you can consume any of the services, but with a limit of $300. So when you actually create a free account with Gmail or a personal account with Google Cloud, you get $300 credit, or you can assign your credit card and consume as many services as you can. Okay. Any further questions? Visali, can you unmute yourself and ask the question again? Akash, are we good to proceed?
I think we have another person looking to ask a query. Sunita, if you can hear, yeah, please go ahead and ask your question by unmuting yourself.
Sunita, please unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
In the interest of time, I think, Tushar, we should proceed.
Sure. Okay. So folks, let's quickly jump on to the next topic of the session, which is how to build modern application architectures with GCP, right? So today we are going to talk about the APIs, right? And I think more or less we are more familiar that in a traditional way, where we were exposing applications earlier. Now in order to expose those applications in a more effective way, we are rather exposing it via APIs. So, and in cloud world, everything is exposed via APIs, right? So if you're using your Google Cloud Console, even that is also an API call. If you're using or if you're spinning up an API VM within a Google Cloud Console, that is also an API call. So everything that you see in the cloud world or in modern applications is basically an API which is exposed and consume. You can actually consume it to run your services. Now, when you actually come to the APIs, right? So deployment and managing APIs will become very, very difficult. How to authenticate those APIs, how to log in, how to enable logging and mounting your APIs, how to scale those APIs to handle many, many customers, right? So for that, you need an API management tool, and Google Cloud provides you two type of services for your API management, for effective API management as well. So first is cloud endpoint, where we do not have to get into each details of the capabilities in the interest of time, but these are the cloud endpoint is basically will help you to deploy and manage your APIs. Now, why we are actually talking on the APIs, right? Because the services which we are actually exposing to our customers, right, or your users, right, can be exposed via API, and you can actually build and manage API with cloud endpoints, or in the later we will show the API edge as well, where you can run your logic, your application logic in any of the environment of your compute, which you can use compute engine or Kubernetes engine or app engine, and then expose these services via your cloud endpoints or APG management API, right? So those APIs will be exposed to your clients, whether it's your mobile or web clients, right? And all the management of these APIs will happen within that API management tool. Now, this is another tool which also requires a lot of time, right? Is APG, which Google acquired quite early in just a few years back, right? And now it is a APG is an API management platform owned by Google Cloud as well. Now, the best advantage is that in order to actually showcase multiple services on the individual infrastructure or individual services which you are using in the backend, you can use these API to manage your traffic effectively. And they're also being used to load balance your traffic based on the API requests you're getting in your applications as well. Now, modern application architecture does not consume only the API-based architecture, which we have heard multiple times, but it also requires the use of a particular managing system as well. So think like that. Let's say you're building an e-commerce application, okay, and this site becomes very, very popular in a very, very short period of time, right? Then your application server cannot handle so many requests in such short period of time. So what you actually bring in to build a modern architecture, you build a messaging system in front of your main application servers, so that this messaging or queue system, right, will will actually capture the request, right, store it in that, and then it serves back to your application server whenever your application server is able to take that request. So I hope you're getting it, right? So your application server cannot take that much load. So in order to balance that load, rather than to onto application servers, you have included a messaging or a queue-based system in front of your application server, so that it can take the request, store it into the message queue, and then when your application server is ready to take that message request, it can actually consume from that messaging queue. So so PubSub in Google Cloud, we provide a service known as PubSub, where it actually provides your messaging and event ingestion as well. So you can ingest events at any scale. Your application server will not be loaded because all the events, all the messaging is stored in your messaging queue. And just to let you know that your Gmail is purely built on your PubSub as well. So all the messages which you are actually exchanging on day-to-day basis is backed by your PubSub messaging service. Okay. So you'd like to actually, if you'd like to actually now build a chat application, or if you'd like to build an instant search application, the PubSub is for you. Now, quickly jumping on to the security, since we have 15 minutes left. So Google Cloud has been actually operated very in a secure fashion from the most period of time. So in the last 2 decades when the Google started, the security is of prime responsibility of Google as well as the Google Cloud as well, right? So you can think of the security which we provide, and I don't know how many of you have heard when was the last time the YouTube was hacked, right? Or when was the last time the Google search or Gmail was hacked, right? These are the services which are being used by more than 1 billion users across the globe, and they are very secure in that manner because Google has believed and invested a lot in the infrastructure and the services security in the backend. In the interest of time, we'll directly jump on to the identity and access management, right? It's basically is a managed identity and access management service from Google Cloud, right? And it is primarily used to implement role-based access control. Okay. So if you have heard or if you're not aware of role-based access control, this is where you will define that who can do what and on which resource. So very important. Who can do what and on which resource? Who means that your data, your service will only be accessed by authorized person. So let's say I'm part of Google Cloud. If I have the access card, then only I can enter the office. Otherwise, I will not be allowed to enter the office. Now, once Tushar enters the office, Tushar is an authenticated user. He has access to only these rooms, right? So he can enter only those rooms who he is authorized to enter, right? So even though he's authenticated, he's a Google employee, but he's only authorized to enter, let's say, a specific rooms or specific services he can consume within that office, right? And last but not the least, on which resource. So in your office, he has access to his own laptop only. He cannot use his other person laptop or any other system, which he is not allowed to use it, right? So this is where to implement that, Google provides a managed rollback access control service known as Cloud IAM. Okay, so that you can understand who can do on which resource. Now, these are the identities. If you consider who, so your Gmail account is an identity, right? Your Google Groups is an identity, right? And also from the service to service communication, Google also uses an identity known as service account. So you can provide different roles between, let's say, your compute service, your VM service would like to talk to your storage service. And in order to actually provide access to that particular VM, that this particular machine can do what on that particular storage bucket, you provide a service account, a particular role, and then you can actually control the access. Okay. Okay. So now coming to the can do what, right? So this is defined by the roles, right? You define permissions in a collection of permissions in a particular role. So let's say you want to spin a particular VM. So you need to have a compute admin role until if let's say you only have the storage admin role and you're going to spin up a VM or a machine, right, to deploy your application, you cannot do so because your administrator has not assigned permissions to spin up a VM. Your administrator has not assigned a particular role which can actually provide you that permission to spin up a VM. So roles can define the permissions that you can do what in your system. Okay. Now, these type of roles can be of the three types. You can be basic rules, where it's a very high level rules like viewer role or editor role. Some predefined roles per service. Let's say in compute role, you can have the compute admin role or a compute viewer role, or you can also define your custom roles as well, where you can collect or group multiple permissions and define custom roles. So these are just examples of the basic roles. You can be the owner of your project. You can be the editor, which is read-write access, viewer, the read-only access, and the billing administrator, who will only manage the billing part. All right. So let me quickly jump on to how the screen look like, okay, in the IAM. So I'm back to my GCP console. I'm back to my GCP console, and if you see, I'm going on IAM admin, right? I just click on it. I hope my screen is visible, Akash.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So this is where you will actually provide role-based access control. So just click on grant access, right? And let's say you have created an identity. Let's say I am a developer one, right? So this is my identity where I have a username or email address developer one at Tushar Gupta G. And then you will actually assign a particular role to this particular user. So this user can be, let's say, if I go with compute admin, or if I go back to the cloud storage, which we just covered today, he can be a storage object viewer only. Okay. So he cannot create a bucket, but he can only read the objects from that bucket. So from the developer one, I'm using an identity. I will assign a role of object here and I click on save. Once I click on save, you can see here that developer one, right, identity has a role of storage object viewer. And now if I log in with the developer one on this particular console, we can only see the objects which are stored in the bucket. If developer one would like to spin up a VM or would like to delete a particular VM, he or she cannot actually do so because the permissions given to that particular identity is only allowing him to actually spin up, only allowing him to only view the objects which are stored in GCP buckets. So that's how you implement role-based access control within your GCP environment using IAM, Identity and Access Management. Okay. So that completes the presentation because I do not want to actually take, in multiple details because that will actually bore you. But I would highly recommend you to follow the learning paths which are available to you as part of your Cloud Skill Boost platform. And feel free to ping us anytime over LinkedIn or just mail us, me, Akash, or anyone from the Nasscom and Google Cloud team, and we'll be happy to actually support you. But uh, my humble request is that please do not complete the course just for the sake of completion. Do understand the technology, do understand the learning, right, which we are enabling you from the Nasscom and FutureSkills Prime initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Tushar.
Akash,
That was tremendous as a session, and I know you covered impact in a lot within time. So I really hope this was beneficial to the participants. There is a technical question which I'm going to direct your way before we go to the generic ones. So the question is from Varada Venkat. Let's consider I want to use to the storage options provided by Google for an application. How can I do that?
It's simple, Radha. That I shown you the graph, right, where you will decide that which type of storage option you would like to actually use for your application. So let's say your application, you're developing an application, and where you need a SQL databases, which is basically a relational type of databases. So you create an application on your compute engine, you create a cloud SQL, right, a databases for your MySQL server, and then attach to your compute VM, which is actually showing up application. Okay, so based on your application requirement, you can consume any services from Google Cloud.
All right. I think there is another question, which is a generic one. So I think Akshit, you may want to take this up. So Raya Rajesh Reddy wants to know if it is necessary to do skill badges for getting the certificate.
Yeah, thanks, Akash. Raya, Rajesh, just to let you know that skill batches are very, very important, learning if you are going through the program, right? And they will actually let you learn a little more extra and test your skills of what you have learned. While doing skill badges are important, they are not a requirement for getting you your certificate. You only need to complete your 5 courses in order to get your certificate from Nasscom. But we do recommend doing the skill badges as well, because they're very important in your learning journey. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Akshit. Thank you, Tushar. Just for the
Okay,
benefit
I
of
have a
everybody.
question.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question, Akash.
Yep.
Okay, it's a generic question again. Okay.
Hmm.
So Tushar, this question is to you that,
Mhm.
lately on behalf of all the students. So if I'm a graduate, what could be the entry level opportunities and how the career path looks like once I finish this course? Or,
Good
if this
question.
course is going to get
Hmm.
benefit.
No, good question, Raghvendra. I think I get this question often, so thank you for actually bringing that up. See, first of all, I again go back to the same statement that please do not complete these learning badges or learning path just for the sake of completion to get a certificate, because when you will actually demonstrate this to your recruiter in your placements and they will ask questions, you will not be able to answer that. So please try spending this time to learn about the technology, and definitely the certificate which you will get from the Nasscom in partnership with Google Cloud will help you to actually validate your credential that yes, you are expert of a particular field, you're expert of infrastructure, you're expert of Kubernetes or security, right? At least up to an entry level. Now, coming to the job vacancies, right? Do not think of only getting the job into Google, right? Because sometimes you will not come across the roles within Google at an entry level. But yes, these certifications, these learning paths are very, very well acknowledged across the industry in any other company. So if you have completed your skill batches, as Akshit showed to you, the skill batches you can easily flaunt. I would say I'm using the word flaunt, but definitely you can easily flaunt your skill batches on your resume that yes, you have completed this batch and now you understand the infrastructure or security or any other field which you would like to actually make your career on. Hope it answers your question, Raghvendra, and the rest of the rest as well. Raghvendra, sorry, you're breaking.
Raghavendra, I think you're breaking up. All right. In the interest of time, yes,
Can you hear
Raghavendra.
me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. What you said is correct. It's not just for the sake of earning certificate or getting into a job kind of thing, but it's all about what you learn and how you upgrade your skill and knowledge, in this, particular domain. That's what I would say.
Yep.
And, thank you so much, Tushar. It was a wonderful session, and thanks for considering my request to go a little slower while you are explaining, the topic. Thanks, Akash, for making this possible. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
So just for the benefit of everybody, the recording of this session will be available on the FutureSkills Prime YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube and you search for FutureSkills Prime, you'll get to our channel and you will see this recording posted over there. This will also be handy to you in the closing email, which should reach out tomorrow to your registered email IDs. I want to reiterate and tell everyone that when you complete these courses as Nasscom, we have developed the assessment for this particular program, and for a nominal fee of 600 rupees, you can take this assessment and also get an assessment certification. This is something that adds tremendous value to CVs as well as to your job applications. Also, we are working very closely with Akshit and team to bring more programs from the Google Cloud fold as we go along. So you can keep visiting futureskillsprime.in, which is where you will see the additional programs that we bring together for you from Google. All right, so with this, we bring to a close. If you, I can see there are a few questions still pending. So if in case your questions are left unanswered, or even if you come up with the questions later on, we would encourage that there are two IDs that you can write to. That these are support IDs. So first one is support@futureskillsprime.in. You can mention the course name and send in your query. We'll get an answer to your email. The second, if it's specific to the Google Cloud course, you can write to support@quicklabs.com. And again, specific to that particular course, the Google Cloud team will be happy to get that question answered to you. So we'll continue to do these, to do more programs like these in the future. And do take care of the recording. Please visit our page and make sure that you go through the recording of this session. All right, so with this, we will like to bring this to a close. Thank you everyone for attending the session, and please stay tuned.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. And
Thank
all the
you.
best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.